Nothing Personal starts in 30 seconds. It's just business. This is Nothing Personal.
Here you go.
Astounding. That's the Nothing Personal word of the day. It is Monday, April 7th, 2025. I'm astounded at the number of things that we could lead the show with, but I am most astounded by the contract that the Toronto Blue Jays have handed to Vladimir Guerrero Jr. 14 years, $500 million. That's $35.71 million for those of you keeping track at home. That's a contract done on April 7th, according to Ken Rosenthal, and now all of the media insider sources. That's a contract that was done with a player who said, I'm not going to negotiate once I report. I'm not going to negotiate once spring training games start. I'm not going to negotiate once the regular season starts. We told you from the beginning it was straight poppycock. Of course, Vladimir Guerrero would accept a contract that was absolutely astounding, off the charts. It's the third biggest contract in the history of baseball. Juan Soto, Shohei Ohtani, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Is that the order you would put them in? Dodgers, Ohtani, Mets, Soto, Guerrero, Blue Jays? As you know, I've known Vladimir Guerrero Jr. since the very beginning. Had his father in Montreal. I'm so proud of Vladimir Jr. I'm so happy for Vladimir Sr. I am gushing with pride and excitement for what he was able to accomplish, because he took advantage of a situation, and there was not one thing Rogers Communications or Mike Shapiro or Russ Atkins or anyone north of the border could do. You see, the Blue Jays were tired. They were very, very tired of being second fiddle or third fiddle, tired of being the stalking horse, tired of the narrative. No big players will sign with us long term. Everybody's looking to leave Canada. Who can stand going back and forth through customs? Who can stand the currency exchange rate, Canadian dollars, US dollars? Aaron Judge, nope. Shohei Ohtani on a plane to Toronto, nope. Finally, the Blue Jays said, we have no choice here, because Vladimir Guerrero has been asking for the same $500 million with no deferrals from the beginning. Vladimir didn't budge. He just waited and then waited. It's a very interesting way to negotiate. If you have the ability and if you have the intestinal fortitude to just wait for someone to come to you because you know you have them over a barrel, you know that you've got the leverage in a way that there is not one thing that changes the status quo. Not the team going 0-10, not the team going 10-0. Not you hitting 500 in your first 8 games or you hitting 0 in your first 8 games. None of that. To the media, to the fans, that may mean something. In the articles, you'll see Toronto, first place in the AL East, second place in the AL East. They'll give you the slash lines for Guerrero for this season like that matters one tinker's damn. This is all about the owner of the Blue Jays saying, I will not walk into another owners meeting. I will not walk into a board meeting, and I will not for a minute let my thousands of employees think that Toronto is not a first-class city, a first-class destination, a first-class team. Guerrero drafted, developed. He's only been on one team. this contract, should he serve the entire 14 years, that will be his entire career as a Blue Jay. Hall of Famer? Maybe. Father-son Hall of Famer? We'll see. I think what is interesting about this deal, though, there's so many things given the timing and given, the funny part, side note in negotiation, if you're going to cave, what's the rush? You have to have it in your mind when you are thinking about what your position is. You have to have in your mind what your breaking point is. And if you know that you're going to give the 500 at some point, why do you give it now? What is the benefit? Season ticket holders are already in for the season or not. You're not going to get new attendance now saying, oh, Toronto kept Vladdy for next year. Your team doesn't get better next year. You have the same player on it that you had this year, that you had last year, that you had the year before, that you had in this window where you have not been successful. It's always so painful to pay your own free agents because it doesn't make your team better. It satisfies your fan base for a second. And then they want wins. Can Vladimir be the center of a winning team? It's not like the Blue Jays haven't surrounded him with players during the course of his career. Just think about the reasoning. If you wait till after the season, what exactly is the downside? Vladimir Guerrero wins the MVP, hits 50 home runs, drives in 150 runs. The Blue Jays win the World Series. Let's just pretend that happens. What's the demand by Guerrero? What's the open market to get a player like that? More than $500 million without deferrals over 14 years? You think he gets to $600 million? Let's just pretend that he gets to $600 million. He's not going to get to Ohtani's $700 million over 14, even though it's over 14 without any deferrals. It's not going to happen. So you evaluate what your risk is. Let's say your risk, there's a 35.71 annual average value. If he wins the MVP, the team wins the World Series. Are you risking $5 million a year over 14 years? Are you risking $90 million? So we'd have an average of $40 million per year for 14 years. Okay, that would be the most. What are the odds that that's actually going to happen? As an owner and a negotiator or a president or someone who's in charge of figuring out salaries, you have to weigh these things. Some teams use PR as a far bigger piece of the pie than I ever did. When it came to Giancarlo Stanton, PR was a big piece of the pie, but also just having Giancarlo anchor our team forever. First-time Hall of Famer as a Marlin, trying to win more than 81 games for the first time with Giancarlo Stanton, trying to figure out how to win with players who we had who were good players, having no idea what tragedy would befall the team or what would happen with change of ownership. So there are reasons that you allow PR to have strategy. I'm not saying Toronto didn't have the reason, but I'm saying their reason was simply the fact that they felt like bridesmaids. What happens when you feel like a bridesmaid and you want to be a bride? You tend to settle. You tend to overpay. You tend to not wait for the love. You make the love. You try to convince yourself that what you're doing is right. The Blue Jays are a really good front office who have put together really good teams that there's been something missing. Now you're going at it with the same player, and you have put yourself in bed with this player, a great player, might I add, but you are now with him for the next 14 years. You still have a big free agent coming in Bo Bichette. And something that occurred to me during the night as I was pondering this. Do players say to themselves, hey, you signed Vlad. Now it's my turn. Yes, they do. That's not how front offices think. They don't say, all right, we took care of Vlad Guerrero. Now let's give Bichette whatever he wants. You make choices. I don't think for a minute that Bo Bichette will get what he wants. When you look at the makeup of a team, if you bring Bo Bichette back at a certain number, to me, you are basically saying that our team has been good enough with these two people as the core. Guerrero and Bichette. And that's not been the case. So to me, a Guerrero signing is even a bigger indicator that Bichette will walk no matter what happens during the course of this season. I had a couple wait to sees on this topic, and wait to see when we tell you something's going to happen. And if it does, we'll revisit it. If it doesn't, I'm wrong, but we'll revisit it. Back in January of this year, January 16th of 25, I said Guerrero would not be traded to the Mets. I'm going to take a yes on that. But then only less than a month ago, on March 12th, I said Vladimir will not get $500 million. That's big fat no. He got to 500. He gave him 14 years. He got to 500. Got that wait to see wrong. Congratulations to Vladimir. Congratulations to the Blue Jays. You managed to get a player signed on April 7th. I don't want to pick on the Pittsburgh Pirates. There's enough vultures circling around Bob Nutting. There's enough people circling around the team, the players. Baseball's trying to put Paul Skeens, their ace, their number one, as the face of baseball. He wants it. Pittsburgh is trying to have a good team with a low payroll. It's super hard to do, even when you have winning day every 5 days. When you are in a position as a small revenue team, low payroll, you have to really try to eliminate any self-inflicted wounds. On the field, off the field, you have to try to be as perfect as possible. This weekend, the Pittsburgh Pirates were so far from perfect that it is an absolute embarrassment to themselves, to their owner, to their players, to their city, to baseball. I'm talking about the Roberto Clemente situation. Roberto Clemente is not just a normal alum of a team. Roberto Clemente is the centerpiece, the foundation of not just a day throughout baseball, but of a life lived, of an on-the-field and off-the-field presence that is meant never to be forgotten, always to be explained, and lessons to be moved from generation to generation. Jackie Robinson, Roberto Clemente, 1, 2. When I think of a list of the players who transcend baseball, when I think about the players whose lessons must be taught, whose history must be preserved, even at the Department of Defense library, anywhere, what Jackie Robinson did, his values, what Roberto Clemente did. The Pirates have always embraced Roberto Clemente. How could you not? Part of that embracing has always been honoring Roberto Clemente, more so than the other teams. When it's your player, you do more. With Jackie Robinson, the Mets have an entire rotunda called the Jackie Robinson Rotunda. Forget what the Dodgers have. For the Pirates, they were always associated, as they should be, with Roberto Clemente. They used to play in Three Rivers Stadium, a cavernous, insane place. And then Pittsburgh built what became the greatest open-air stadium in all of baseball, PNC Park. To this day, it is the greatest open-air stadium in all of baseball. Forget the results on the field. The stadium itself, the ballpark, the beauty, the way they honored Roberto Clemente with thought, the outfield wall being 21 feet. Just that. There's so much more they did around the stadium. When you walk through, and we did tours of all sorts of stadiums when building Marlins Park, you can't walk 5 minutes in that stadium, in that ballpark, without saying, ooh, Roberto Clemente played here. Well, wouldn't you know it? They had on the outfield wall to the right of the foul pole, they had an ode, a plaque to Roberto Clemente. This year, that plaque was removed and it was replaced by an advertisement. It was an advertisement for Surfside. The internet got a hold of it. If you're watching this on davidsamsonpodcast.com, on YouTube, Nothing Personal with David Samson, YouTube, you can see a picture where the Roberto Clemente plaque was, the diamond plaque, and then where the advertising sign was, just on the fair side of the foul pole. It was removed for revenue. Absolutely standard. There are certain permanent things that you do to honor players, but if you have a company come in and say, hey, we want that real estate, we will pay you money for that real estate. It is your job to raise revenue for the team. That's what the Dodgers, Mets, Cubs want for the Pirates. It's what everybody complains about. Hey, you better increase your revenue so you can increase your payroll. So the Pirates said, we will take the business from Surfside. We will move the plaque and put the advertisement there. So far, so good. Except what they did is they forgot to tell anyone. They didn't get ahead of the story. They didn't speak to the Clemente family, who are notorious in baseball, might I add. Notorious for being, needy's the wrong word, wanting to be involved, wanting to be relevant. The Pirates have to know the way the Clemente family is. They have to know that you must talk to them. It would be the equivalent of unretiring Carl Barger's number, giving it to Logan Morrison, and ignoring the Barger family. If you know, you know. That's crazy. We did that. Unretiring a number. It's absurd, right? So the media gets hold of this picture. The fans go crazy, and the Pirates start with statements. I'm taking a breath. It's a Monday morning. Have we learned nothing in 1,251 episodes of Nothing Personal? Have we learned that you ought to be careful with your first statement, please? And you get your senior VP of communications to do the statement? Are you kidding that it's not the owner or the team president? Saturday comes and the VP of communications says, Roberto Clemente is more than a Hall of Fame player to us. His legacy helps define who we are as an organization. One would be hard-pressed to find a franchise that pays tribute to one of their historically great players more than the Pittsburgh Pirates do of Roberto Clemente, and rightfully so. Each and every day, we proudly honor and celebrate Clemente, the person, the player, the humanitarian, in and around the ballpark, as well as through charitable endeavors. 20-foot high wall, 21 feet. We display 21 in 2 separate locations. Are you understanding this statement? This doesn't sound like an apology statement. This sounds like an explanation statement. Then, the temporary wall sign in question was put in place prior to the 2022 season, was never meant to be permanent. Simply another cap tip. We apologize we didn't directly communicate that fact to the Clemente family and to our fans. Did that statement get approved? And where were you back in 22? If you're going to give someone something, here's a little note for you in business or with your kids or in life. Once you give something, even if it's extra, unexpected, only for today, people on the receiving end have a different view. They view it as something they will continue to get on an hourly, weekly, daily, yearly basis. The way to avoid that is when you do something, you call it a one-time. We are putting up this sign in 2022 only. Or we are putting up this sign, we're announcing we've added a Roberto Clemente plaque on the outfield wall, but our salespeople are looking to sell that. We want the revenue. You've got to be forthright. Can you imagine putting up some sort of honor and then taking it down because you miscommunicated? Because it was always your intention, so you claim? But then why did the Pirates do a statement with their head of communications and then one day later they do statement number 2? When are people going to learn? Statement 1, statement 2. It's like the cover-up is always worse than the crime. Now they get the president of the Pirates to do a statement the next day. We did not intend to disrespect the legacy of Roberto Clemente by adding advertisement to the pad in right field. When we added the advertisement to the pad, it was an oversight not to keep the number 21 logo. This is ultimately on me, team president talking, not anyone else in the organization. It was an honest mistake. I'm sort of feeling good about the statement because the Pirates seem to be owning it. But then they have diarrhea of the mouth. The statement continues where it lists all of the things that they do for Roberto Clemente. Quote, this is in addition to the many elements throughout the ballpark that honor his legacy, including the fact that the wall is named the Roberto Clemente wall. It's 21 feet tall and has 2 number 21s on it. Oh my God, Pirates. Now what you've done is the old bait switch deflect. I'm sort of sorry, but do people in your life ever do that? I'm sorry, but it's supposed to be I'm sorry, period. I'm sorry, but the old I'm sorry, but that just means you're trying to come up with explanations, trying to make yourself feel better about the PR mess you find yourself in. The Pirates president in statement 2 released an I'm sorry, but statement. All you had to do was say, wow, we screwed that one up. That was a complete mistake. The Clementes know how much we love them. I've spoken with them. I apologized to them before sending out a statement. I called immediately to say, I'm a moron. But still, he said, to end this statement too, we look forward to continuing our relationship with the Clemente family and apologize to them and our fans for our honest mistake. In a statement. And by the way, when you have to put honest before a mistake, that means that we have to look at other mistakes you do and say to ourselves, was that a dishonest mistake? It's like having the verbal tick of saying, to be honest with you, if I'm being honest, blank. Don't ever say that. Eliminate it from your vocabulary, because then people listening look at you and say, wow, you better say that every time you talk or I'll switch off because you're lying. An honest mistake. That means they didn't look at the Roberto Clemente plaque and say, let's just get rid of that and make some money. Which, by the way, wouldn't be the end of the world. It's all about communication. It's so important. 2 statements, baby, on a Monday morning. Rob Manfred is out and about. The commissioner, spoiler alert, he's a friend. Spoiler alert, despite what he says about the show. Spoiler alert, he's got good PR people around him. He's on a tour right now. He did a big interview with the New York Times. It got a push alert to my phone. There is an active negotiation going on with the union right now, and they haven't even started to bargain. There's a whole lot of positioning going on by the commissioner. Make no mistake, everything the commissioner does is on purpose. It is calculated. I don't think you will hear him often say that he made an honest mistake. I think that there may be a misstep from time to time that he would own or he would not acknowledge. I don't think he would say it's an honest mistake. He got on with the New York Times. He wanted to get out there a few points. I want to focus on one. He talked about the torpedo bats, loves them. They've always been legal. Of course, he's going to say that. Done. He talked about TV deals. Why would he want to talk about TV deals? Is it because he's in the middle of negotiating a major TV deal to replace ESPN's $550 million deal, which expires at the end of this year? Is it him trying to message the teams who are getting in his way of pooling all of the local broadcast revenue and then splitting it and making it all national? When you're the commissioner, you have the chance to talk to the union, you have a chance to talk to your owners, and you have a chance to talk to fans, and you can do it all with one subject. That's called a Yahtzee subject. Him going to the New York Times and talking about TV deals and talking about how much more access he is hoping to get for fans, how much he is expecting to use streaming after the 2028 season. How he wants to get rid of blackouts, local restrictions. We're all subject to them. Nightmare. How we can get rid of them. You can get rid of them now. You got to buy a streaming service in your local package and your local app, but it is possible. Why would he need to get out there that San Diego has been a great example of MLB taking rights in-house and MLB doing it with San Diego and doing it profitably and well, and look at where San Diego is? When you and I both know that San Diego's payroll is too high, you and I both know that San Diego has major financial commitments going forward and major revenue payroll / issues because they have major broadcast revenue issues, which the Dodgers, who's the ghost they're chasing, don't have and never will have. He needed to make sure that we all knew that they took over the broadcast for San Diego and that they sold tens of thousands of direct-to-consumer in-market packages. I'd be scared of how I talked about that. Think about the number. If you've sold tens of thousands, just do a little rough math for me here, Coca, just to let us know. Let's just pretend that you're paying $150 for the season. And I'm just making that up, but just as a number, let's say $20 a month or $150 a year. And then pretend that you sold 30,000 subscribers, just for fun. The total amount of money there is $4.5 million. You understand why there's a problem with the math? You understand the issue of why all of these teams telling you that our solution of going over the air, our solution of starting our app and selling direct to consumer, that all sounds good for PR. But when it comes to money, it's a problem. Our local rights deals used to be $80 million a year, absolutely like clockwork. You get $80 million, whether there's 10,000 people watching Fox Sports Florida, whether there's 30,000 people, 100,000 people, you are getting that. Call it 80 million. When you actually have to put your regional network on a higher tier where only people who want to watch are going to buy, or you have to do it yourself, and all of the big announcements that teams have made, 28 out of 30 teams have their own streaming service. 28 out of 30 teams have the ability for eliminating blackouts and having in-market opportunities. Over the air is now not just a possibility, but a reality. There's no money in it. That's not the solution that baseball ought to be putting forward. If you're going to talk about what the PR points are and talk about how you're getting more people to stream, more people are getting the app, how things are going well, don't assign a number to it. Make us dream. Make us dream that it's hundreds of thousands of people and it's not just those in San Diego. When you say that tens of thousands of direct-to-consumer in-market packages are being sold, and you're trying to say, look how many people want to pay to watch baseball, and then you do the math. Oi, not good. I want to end this segment, if you don't mind, Coca, with one more bit of math. One of the things that we used to talk about is pay-per-view, having every game available. Forget buying it by month, forget buying it by season. We're going to do it by game, and we're going to do dynamic pricing. When we're playing the Yankees, we're going to charge $20 for that game. When we play the Guardians, we'll charge $5. You've seen it at ballparks with tiered pricing. It used to be the top tiered games you'd have to pay more for. And then there's the bottom tier games, which are the stinky teams. But then teams realized that that didn't really work because no one was buying the low tier games. And then dynamic pricing happened. But let's just pretend you could do pay-per-view and you could pay, let's just say $10 a game. There's 162 games. And let's just say that for whatever reason, you wanted to watch every game. And you're paying $1,620 a year. It's insane because you can stream the whole season right now for much cheaper. But let's just pretend that option was not available. And you paid $1,620. Now, 30,000 people. 30,000 people who are doing that, which is unheard of. Guess how much money you're making? Not even $50 million. Think about why the game is changing. Think about why TV revenue has to be pooled and has to be national, because there is no way for an overwhelming majority of teams to even come close to what they were getting from a cable, having an RSN on cable, where cable subs were paying and supplementing the income for those who wanted to watch the sport. The numbers don't add up. No wonder Rob has to be out there talking about this, but what he's talking about to the union, in addition to talking about robot umps and expansion and spending and all the other things that he has to cover, he's got to make that union understand, and they're seeing the numbers. They know the deals. This isn't us against them. This is shared information. The union publicly will say, hey, we're covered. The league publicly will say, hey, we're working with the union. The reality is the reason why so many teams have dropped their payroll, the reason why so many teams cannot be at the top of the market for the best free agents, the reason is that the economics don't work at all for any of these teams. You're going to watch this unfold over the next year, 2 years, as these negotiations happen and as we head toward a work stoppage, which is almost assured after the 2026 season. Just read and listen to what people are saying. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, I cannot wait to talk about Alex Ovechkin. I simply cannot believe what I watched yesterday. But first, we're going to review the White Lotus Season 3. We'll do it all after the break. Welcome back to Nothing Personal. If you're watching on Nothing Personal with David Sampson YouTube channel, you can tell that I'm in Miami. We'll be doing Dan's show at 9 o'clock Eastern. So once you're done here, check out Dan's show. So much to cover on a Monday. So much. Coco, we could do 2 hours on Monday with all the stuff we have. Last night, I got into Miami, go to the hotel, eat a black and white cookie, have a bagel and a schmear, get ready to watch White Lotus. I have the relationship with White Lotus because it's created and directed by a fellow Survivor alum, Mike White. He was more successful than I was, but we're both losers on Survivor. I watched season 1 and season 2 with great anticipation for season 3, and season 3 concluded last night. I understand the rules of spoiling. I'm not going to spoil who dies. The concept of White Lotus is someone dies in the first episode. You don't know who. You spend the rest of the season figuring out who it was, what the circumstances are, and the finale is supposed to deliver. And what it's supposed to have delivered was that you have a relationship with the characters, with the guests at the White Lotus, that you can't imagine any of them dying. You don't want any of them to die. And then you get to the end of the season and you're either unhappy, unsatisfied, or, hey, that person deserved it. Oh, that makes sense. Oh, Mike White is a genius. He had us looking left and we should have been looking right, or he had us looking left and then it went left. You never know what writers are going to do, what creators are going to do. This year's White Lotus, this season's White Lotus, is the victim of the increased budget. It's a victim of all the Emmys that it won. Because seasons 1 and 2 were just juggernauts. There is so much B-roll in this season. Waves crashing against rocks, close-up, slow motion that you know they had to spend extra money on a certain camera. So much outside of the hotel where it's normally filmed, which is all a matter of more budget. We know that the characters the actors were there for 6 or 7 months on location filming. It is a visual piece of ecstasy. But at the end, after an hour and 29-minute finale, I had this sense of emptiness both because it was ending and also because it was not the ending that I wanted or needed, but it was the ending that I understood and appreciated. There's so many different facets of the way he tied the stories down. Please watch The White Lotus. It's all available, and all the seasons are different. However, there is some through lines between the seasons. I would say start with season 1 and work yourself up to season 3. It's worth it. It's always weird when I finish a review of a show I've been watching since the middle of February and that I was waiting for years, and then boom, in 3 minutes it's gone. Maybe we can talk more about it on Levitard, but I got so much to get through. You know that we make mistakes here on Nothing Personal, Coca. It's just us sitting in Miami holding a microphone. My arm is completely numb and fell asleep. When you have a correction, send it to me. David, glad you're well. You said that Rogers was the biggest broadcaster in Canada. They are not. Bell Canada is twice as large as Rogers. Your point was still well made. We were talking about something, don't know what, but I do remember saying Rogers was the biggest. Now, are they the biggest because they signed Vladimir Guerrero? Does having Guerrero for $500 million over 14 years help you to overtake Bell Canada? Nah, probably not. Speaking of Canada, that's such an awesome segue to hockey, isn't it? Come on. To me, this is the lead story. I mean, once Guerrero signed, we put that in the lead and then did a bunch of baseball stuff. But the unthinkable happened yesterday. Alex Ovechkin is a hockey player. He's a hockey player who plays for the Washington Capitals. He broke a record yesterday that was unbreakable. He has now scored more goals than anyone in the history of hockey. He overtook Wayne Gretzky. Wayne Gretzky, standing there at the game, only had to go to 2 games where it was possible. There was no goalless streak. They played Ovechkin on the road at Islanders instead of waiting to play him at home this week and have him break the record at home. Why? They're fighting for a number 1 seed, number 1. Number 2, break the record when you can. Don't play with the sports gods. Ovechkin didn't have a lot of games left to break it, and he got it done, even with a broken leg this year where he missed 16 games. He has 895 goals. Gretzky had 894. I want to say a couple things here. Alex Ovechkin is a complicated man. He has got a very close relationship with Mr. Putin in Russia. Sometimes gets ignored, sometimes gets focused on. There are people in the States who do not appreciate that. There's people in the States who do. My view is that I have an appreciation for the art that this artist has. I have an appreciation for what he was able to do at 39 years old. I have an appreciation for him and the skill, the degree of difficulty to do something that was unthinkable. Alex Ovechkin breaking the record is something that people may claim, oh, we saw it coming. This guy was always so good. There was always a guarantee. It's ridiculous. It's total horse hockey. We've had some unbelievable players, Lemieux, Crosby. I mean, just go on and on. McDavid, Marty McFly, so many. McSorley, not McFly. That was funny, Coca. I've got Back to the Future in my brain. So many players out there. This to me was, I don't know, the most unbreakable record out there underneath what? Maybe Cal Ripken in the consecutive game streak? But when he scored, the joy, the ovation that he got, watching the presentation, the ceremony, watching the commercialization, selling tickets, hard tickets, printed tickets, man after my own heart, those Islanders, selling pucks, taking advantage of every opportunity, because this history that you saw yesterday with Alex Ovechkin breaking the goals record, you're going to die at 150 years old, I hope. You're not going to see this record broken. And yes, I said that about Wayne Gretzky. So yes, there could be someone who's right now in the womb coming out with a hockey stick up in Winnetoba who is going to be able to score 896 goals. But I'm certainly not holding my breath and thinking I'm going to live to see it. I love watching when these things happen. Even if you're not a hockey fan, how do you not feel some sort of emotion about it? Seeing history. It's the reason I was rooting for the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. I have more friends who like the Eagles than who like the Chiefs, but the opportunity to see something I've never seen that is unlikely to see again, like a three-peat, how do you not root for that? So I'm rooting for Ovechkin. I'm getting updates, and it's not like baseball when you're going for the home run record. You can break in when the person's at bat. When someone's trying to score a goal, hockey, it's every 30 seconds up and down the ice. It can happen in a flash. You got to watch the whole game. I got a text from our team, Coca and Sarah, saying, oof, people spend $1,500 to go to the Capitals' next home game. And I said, ooh, did I miss the record? Because I was in a meeting yesterday. Did I really miss it? Is that possible when I've been focused on making sure I could watch it? And isn't that how life goes? That you've got a 2-hour window where you can't imagine that there will be a conflict, and boom, Ovechkin scores. Congratulations, Ovi. It really is big news. I don't want to give it short shrift. Who's next, Coca, on the active goals list? What would you say? I assume it's Sidney Crosby would be my guess. Would be number 2 on the active goal scoring list. And how far away is Crosby? Maybe Sarah can check that and get into my ear. He's 273 goals away from Ovechkin. Hold on. Do we agree that like 50 goals in a year is a really good year? Can we all agree on that? Because it's hard enough to get 40, but let's just say 50. He's got to score 5 more years of 50 goals and then come back for a 23 spot. Coca, how old is Sidney Crosby? Oh my God. It's unbreakable. It's totally unbreakable. 273 goals away. Adam Silver wussed out. John Morant did the gun gesture one day after you warned him not to do it, and the best you could come up with was a fine. That's it. I had to wait to see on Friday that you were going to suspend him. And that is a perfectly reasonable wait to see. And you fine him? Boy, you really know how to get to players. You really know how to change what you want in your NBA, Adam. You got this nailed. You're trying to avoid what that looks like to your fan base and to your sponsors. And you take a guy making hundreds of millions of dollars and say, give me $75K. They lose $75K on a team flight to Chicago. The street cred, the obvious reason why that is done, that gesture, is it cool? Who's it to? The fans? To his teammates? His friends? His family? The owners? Is it directly to Adam Silver? Whatever it is, when you are disciplining your children, or you're being disciplined in school by your teachers, or you're trying to discipline your clubhouse, what's the one thing we look for? Consistency. Make it easy for me to understand what the discipline is, how I can match action and consequence. Don't make me guess. Don't make me say that, hey, I can do whatever I want, because the most I'm going to get is the old slap on the wrist, a little tickle of the wallet, because then the majority of players say what players said to me over my career. You're going to fine me for a uniform violation? Great. Take it out of my per diem. You're going to fine me for off-field conduct? No problem. Take it out of my paycheck. Happy to pay. The majority of people in the workforce don't feel that way. The majority of people can't lose a day's pay. They can't be fined. They can't be suspended without pay. They've got to behave in a way that their boss or their company or their team demands. But nope, not NBA players. They can pretty much do whatever they want, and it doesn't make one tinker's damn of difference. Adam Silver had the opportunity, and he just let it slip away. Yep, John Morant, 75 grand. Nothing personal pick of the day. Boy, did we have a good start to that, Coca. Did you watch the Friday night game between the Braves and Marlins? We had the Braves beating the Marlins, but also on the run line, and we got them both. The Braves got their first win, 10-0. Ironically, Saturday the Braves lost to the Marlins. Sunday the Braves got rained out. So the Braves now go into their next series. They are 1-8. They haven't even played 10 games yet. After they won 10-0, there was all this talk. And I guess, Coca, that we don't have the ability to really get through to people because we caution them. We caution them not to get 2 up or 2 down, not to take an 20-9 win or an 18-3 win or a 10-0 win and extrapolate it over a full season or say this is now who we are and how it's going to be. It's crazy because then you've got a game the next day. And the next day, you could get right back to where you are, right back to a shutout. And that is what happened with the Braves. Saturday was a crazy day. What a day. We had Nola and the Phillies beating Sasaki and the Dodgers. Aaron Nola's not going to win the Cy Young. He's still part of what should be the best rotation in baseball in Philly. And Philly's playing great. They just didn't beat the Dodgers. The Dodgers now, I believe, have 2 losses, Coca. They are not going to win 162. Did anyone take the under on that? But my focus Saturday was really on the men's Final Four. Watched the first game with Florida beating Auburn. Texted Coca, what about Clayton? Is that guy an NBA prospect? Because, man, they're having a hard time stopping him. And then I got to the Duke game, having Duke minus 5.5, feeling like a king, looking at a 3-1 weekend. 4-8-69. Looking at a 3-1 weekend, crawling my way back to 500. Not only does Duke not cover, they don't win. So now we're back to 33-40. That Duke game, can we just talk about it before we congratulate UConn and what they did by winning the women's NCAA tournament? And we're going to get to that. Duke blew a game in a way that it's Reggie Miller scoring at the end of a game and giving Spike Lee the choke sign, scoring, 8-9 points in 30 seconds. It's one of those things that happens, but it's not even like a blue moon. It's not once in a blue moon because blue moons come a little more often than these type of losses happen. What happened with Duke is a bettor's nightmare. It's a Duke lover's nightmare. Is it fitting? Is Cooper Flagg despondent? Is Cooper Flagg going to stay at Duke for another year? Or is he going to go pro and be the #1 pick? Is there going to be unfinished business with great NIL that would possibly make it? So like some women players, they would skip the WNBA and go stay in college. So many economic things and emotional things are involved with how Duke's season ended. They obviously had their sights set on not just getting to the national game, which is tonight, but on winning it. And now we have a game tonight when the national championship will be decided, and it's Florida against Houston. Florida is -1 over Houston. Is that because Houston, how they came back to beat Duke? Because I'm not fully understanding that line at all. If you've watched the games, you would say that Florida is a better team by more than a point. It's practically a pick 'em because if they end up winning at the last second by a point, you get a push. We're taking Florida current line -1 over Houston as Florida is going to win another title, which would be amazing in the year that their coach, Billy Donovan, was elected to the Basketball Hall of Fame. Would be amazing for a program, amazing for a conference. I'm just stuck on the fact that Duke lost. I'm stuck on the fact that we're not going to get to see Florida Duke, which is what I really expected to see, though I didn't do a bracket. But if I had, that's what I would have wanted, because you try to give the fans what they want. You try to get through a tournament. You get a few upsets, a few Cinderellas, but then get down to the meat as the tournament builds into the latter stages, and then get a final game that everyone will watch. I guess people will still watch Florida and Houston, but boy, did the NCAA miss out by having Duke lose. And my guess is that they were already figuring out what to do on the court. My guess is that they were figuring out how to promote what to do, having Duke there. And then all of a sudden, in 19 seconds, they're gone. Poof. Sports. There's nothing like it. It's why we all take it so seriously, because we're emotionally invested. It's why we examine press releases. It's why we're critical when owners or presidents make mistakes, and we're upset when we hold players to a higher standard that they don't meet, not realizing they're people who put their pants on one at a time. Sports is this through thread that we all lean on. We lean on it for our self-worth. It's crazy, but fun. And it's just business. We'll be back tomorrow. This is nothing personal.